It's a Thought Police free zone. The Liberty Lineup radio show, where independent thought just can't be bought.
I'm an American. Red, white, and blue. And I'm a citizen of this world and of heaven. Some things were meant to be together. I believe in faith and freedom. Got a country too. I believe with faith and freedom, we're gonna make it through.
Welcome to the Liberty Lineup Friday show. A tragedy last week. 2 weeks ago, I had a guest on this show, Lavoy Finicum, and his daughter Tara. Lavoy was shot and killed a couple of days ago. But the situation is not over. We have breaking news. There are still 4 people inside the refuge. A few hours ago, I was able to connect with Sean and Sandy Anderson, husband and wife, who are still inside. You don't want to miss their plea for help.
We gotta stay strong, 'cause everything's on the line. We gotta rise up, we gotta stay strong, to save our way of life. I believe in faith and freedom.
They're like, turn out the car and put your head out the window, all this stuff. He's like, he put his hands out the window so they could see he didn't have a gun. He's like, but I'm not. He's like, I'm not. He's like, we're going to talk to the sheriff right now. He's like, you guys can follow us there, that's fine. He's like, but we're talking to the sheriff. He said, either you can put a bullet through my head right now and get it over with, or we're going to talk to the sheriff. And they were like, no. And so then they're like stepping it up, and a bunch more guys are coming out, and they're all pulling their guns out. And they were like, we have women in the car. We have, because there's me and this other lady in the car that I don't know real well. But we have women in the car. They said, get the women out of the car. Get the women out of the car. And they're saying they're going to shoot. And Ryan Payne was like, he was in the front seat. Ryan Payne is amazing. He is incredible. But anyhow, so he was like, he said he put his hands out the window because he was trying to talk to them. He was like, if he wanted the guy to just, he was like, I don't know if it's worth it. He's like, so he put his hands out the window and he said, we have women in the car, at least let the women get out. And he stuck his head out and they shot at him, but they missed him. Or like he talked just in time. So they didn't hit him. And then
Victoria Sharps, who was in the Bundy Finicum vehicle, an eyewitness to what went on there in the very last few moments before Lavoy Finicum was shot and killed 2 or 3 days ago. We will be hearing more of that interview, and we will be listening to parts of the very last taped interview, actually live interview, a couple of weeks ago, pulling from our archives of the show right here. On the Liberty Lineup Friday show, this is Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y guy, on AM 630 K-Talk Radio, 801-254-5855. That's 801-254-5855. We're going to be interested to hear from you throughout the show. There certainly is a lot going on right now in the news, specifically as it relates to this quote-unquote standoff and situation up there in Burns, Oregon. We're going to try to sort through a lot of the information that's flying around out there in the media and sort through it, piece it together. Hopefully we can pull together a mosaic of information and input from folks to be able to paint an accurate picture, a truthful picture of what's going on. Now, of course, I've been up in Park City attending the Sundance Film Festival, seeing 5-6 movies a day, meeting and discussing the industry with a lot of folks, and had set up a very full review of my Sundance activities. But with what's going on right now in the news and the importance of it and the seriousness of it, I think we're going to be throwing out most of that show that I've prepared. But nevertheless, we may get to some of that. And if we do, we will have a report from and interviews from Mark Burnett and Roma Downey. Had a chance to catch up with them. Ralph Winter, who is a prolific producer himself. He is a major film producer in Hollywood, responsible for movies such as The X-Men, Fantastic Four, Star Trek, iRobot, Planet of the Apes, movies such as those. I think he probably has at least a couple of $2 billion of box office represented in the movies that he has produced. Of course, Mark Burnett, Roma Downey are both very actively involved as producers. Mark himself, 10 television series, The Voice, The Apprentice, Survivor, and very notable, of course, both of them produced, responsible for the Bible series, which was one of the most viewed cable series just last year, as well as The Son of God. They're doing Ben-Hur right now. We've got some interviews with them coming up. I'm still trying to piece together what is going on up there in Burns, Oregon. It's certainly very, very disturbing. Hopefully, we'll be able to hear from you on this, and especially as we start to address some really breaking news that's happening right now. This deal and ordeal is not over yet. There are still 4 people remaining inside the refuge right now. 2 of them are a couple, Sean Anderson and his wife Sandy. I was able to connect with them just a few hours ago and get an interview with them. It was quite extraordinary in many ways. For me, quite chilling, thinking of the situation that they're in and the words that actually come from their mouths as they try to describe their efforts to somehow resolve things before their fate is similar to that of their very good friend, Lavoy Finicum. We will be hearing from them. I assure you it will be a very enlightening conversation. We'd also right now like to reach out and thank our show sponsor, EOS Mobile. It's the only cell phone service that supports conservative causes. We are grateful for them and very pleased that they continue to support our show. Go to eoscell.com. That's EOSCELL.com for more information. Mention the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. AM 630 K-Talk. This is live, local, two-way talk radio. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy here on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. I'd like to bring on a special guest. Sherilyn, welcome to the show.
I'm here. It's just an honor to be one of the hosts with you on this great lineup. We are about liberty. We've had very little sleep this week, as you know.
Yes.
Our radio show became the only media source that the Finicums and the Bundys sanctioned or allowed to have cover this exclusive information. And we are it as we talk today.
It's captured our attention for sure, and especially the human experience that's going on up there, the drama. It's very unfortunate the way that it's playing out. Really quite tragic, and honestly, Sherilyn, it's very sobering. As you can tell, I'm still deeply affected by it. I hope we can deal with this in a responsible way. It's just not fun and games right now. We're dealing with not only serious issues, but the consequences are serious as well. We have a very tragic situation. Lives are being affected, and it's ongoing. There's still 4 up there in the refuge. 2 of them had a chance to chat with.
Yes. For the benefit of our listening audience, Jeff, I think we ought to do a very quick review of what we have learned from the FBI announcement and the video that was posted. Our team has stayed up, as you know, many, many nights ongoing here, but last evening we individually, those that we're consulting with, looked at that video second by second frames.
Sherilyn, please describe the video that you're referring to.
This is an FBI video. If you go to libertylineup.com, you can see this video, and there's a long version and a short version, and it is the video that came from the FBI. It was released yesterday, and this is of the actual ambush, and you can watch it for yourselves. It's an aerial view, so it is not as detailed, and a big missing factor is that it is without audio. And so when you pair that up, what you see visually and what we know from our eyewitness reports from the Finicums and the Bundy family, and what this 18-year-old interview that you aired just a few minutes ago here, putting that all together, we know that Lavoy Finicum was being shot virtually within seconds after he got out of that car, when his arms were still up in a surrender mode.
It is difficult. Of course, I saw the video. I saw a 25-minute video through the chase from the beginning all the way to the very end. And we have a break, of course, that we're going to go to on the other side of this. Let's pick it up with that, Sherilyn, as we describe what we're able to determine from the video. We want to be careful to be clear and accurate and truthful as we piece together information for our listeners out there. And we'll pick it up. This is the K-Talk AM 630 radio station.
If you're between the ages of 50...
Welcome all my friends. Welcome all again.
You know, I just have to give a shout out to Jenna Lee Tobias. She was up there at the refuge for a few days and came back, and we started really digging into this. Both of us have spent, all-nighters. And so when this video from the FBI came out, we, as I said, started analyzing it. And independently, we had several people looking at it. We all came to the same conclusion, and that is, we know, as I said, from the eyewitness reports that have come in to us, and also from the video that did not have that audio. We're putting it together.
Right.
And it's very clear that the moment he stepped out of the car with his hands up, he began to be shot at. As he walked away from the car. And you'll see him walk away from the car, and he was starting to be shot at. Now, we can't confirm that 100%, of course, until we have audio, and we can actually hear the gunshots.
That's right.
So, but the way he was responding, and you and I are both actors, right? Have you ever done a death scene before?
Yes,
where you're dying. After,
I've died a slow death on the stage a few times as well.
Yeah, there you go. But we know, actors observe people who have died, and so they try to recreate it. And I was seeing that before my eyes, what was happening. But the FBI narrative is that his hands came down, and he went for his gun on the left side, and then he went for his gun on his left chest. My interpretation, and virtually everybody else that watched this, without conferring with each other, is that what was happening was he was sustaining gunshot blows to his abdomen first, and then to his chest. We watched him become very disoriented as he was kind of losing his balance in that deep snow.
Right, that's right.
And then, of course, the final blow was a fatal blow that knocked him flat backwards.
That's right.
And you have to assume, it's hard to tell, that was the one that the eyewitnesses there were saying he got shot in the face.
Right.
So it mortally wounded him. But that is not what the FBI is saying. And the narrative that we are hearing on the news wires and, on the news break is that he went for his gun twice.
Yeah, that's what you're getting. I think when we see the information from the autopsy, we will get a sense of whether he was reaching for gunshot wounds as he sustained them.
Well, and let's just hope the coroner's office is not as corrupt as the rest of the people handling this whole scenario.
Well, this is the point. This is the seriousness of it. I think a lot of people are just losing confidence in the integrity of our institutions, law enforcement and otherwise. And at the heart of it, I think, is the very cause that they were fighting for. I think if our ranchers and others had a greater degree of confidence in the integrity of the government that is serving us, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. But let's piece it. You're raising some very interesting issues, and I'm sure the details are going to unfold as we get more information, and hopefully we do get real information. Let me try this audio clip. I just think that it is so profoundly moving. This comes from the lips of Victoria Sharp, who was there at the time, and you have to ask yourself, and of course you're a performer, you've been on stage like you mentioned, is this authentic? Is she manufacturing this? Is this real? Is she in some way embellishing? Let's listen to her words.
Ryan decided to get out of the car and try to go talk to them. And so he gets out of the car, and then the guy tried to talk to them. The driver was like, "I'm just gonna drive. So I'm just going to talk to the sheriff." And he's like, "So either shoot me now or leave us alone." And they were just like, "Turn the car off and put your hands up on it." So finally, he decided to just drive. So we all got down on the floorboard, and he took off. And then they started firing at us. They started shooting us a bunch of times, and then they had a roadblock set up. And
okay, what did we learn from that?
Well, what I can say about that, Jeff, is that all of them, of course, were in a traumatic situation, adrenaline, at the height of what our bodies can shoot through our nervous system. And I believe that because that interview with her was done immediately after this incident, it is probably more accurate than people might think that are criticizing out there. I also believe that an 18-year-old, imagine, an 18-year-old singer, no less, who was just there, she's just come to perform at the event that was a setup. So for those people out there that are naysayers and want to tell us to put on our conspiratorial tinfoil hats, this, my friends, was a conspiracy right before your own eyes. It was an ambush by the FBI, federal government, in collusion with the county officials that, by the way, the ranchers there have said over and over have become corrupt and overreaching in their authority.
Well, I'll tell you, Sherilyn, especially at this point, after the loss here, the tragic loss of Lavoy Finicum, that as we try to piece this together, there's a lot of subjectivity that's going on and a lot of emotion, and I'm hoping that we can actually get real evidence that we can talk about. And let's open up, we can certainly open up to our callers here at 801-254-5855, those who are listening, who have been watching the media, who have some questions about what they're hearing on both sides of this issue. And you have to ask yourself what motivations there might be on both sides of this issue to either distort the truth one way or the other. This is going to be somewhat of a puzzle that we can maybe collectively put together and come to some kind of picture of what actually happened and why. Now, I'm curious, from this clip, though, Sherilyn, this happened. The event that she just described happened before he took off, right? Before he took off again, when he was stopped the first time, she noted that there were gunshots and that was there one of them, was it Ryan that was in the front seat that got out and the car left him behind?
Yes. And, Ryan got out of the car. He was shot in the shoulder.
Now, this is Ryan. Which Ryan? Is this Ryan Bundy?
Ryan Bundy.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Ammon's brother.
Got it.
So it's clear that the mission was a whatever they call it, the deadly force.
Right.
Mission was to kill whoever they could.
And the gunshots actually happened before he took off and before he eventually ran off the road into the snowbank and immediately got out of the car with his hands raised. Before they got
right.
to that place, there was gunshots and Ryan Bundy was wounded. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And Jeff, let's back up for just a second here to create the situation that
Okay.
they were in over those 3 weeks. Yes, they were in a refuge. It was federal land. But during the 3 weeks, they had actually developed quite a good relationship with a number of people. There was a candlelight vigil for Lavoie a couple of nights ago in Burns, and hundreds of people came out. I just know these people well enough to know, and we were texting with them. The last text I got from Lavoie was at 2:56, which would have been just a couple of hours or 3 hours before he was killed. And it was so hopeful. They were so pleased that the 8 ranchers in Utah had signed those letters of intent to withdraw their consent from being governed by the BLM. He was thrilled about that. And he and Ammon were looking forward to coming to the rally or not the rally, but the educational event that's going to go on in Boise coming up soon. And so their intent was not to be violent, was not to kill anyone.
Okay, well, this is interesting. This is interesting, Cheryl. The frame of mind, it goes to the frame of mind in many ways, and the psychology. They had been making recent progress. They had gone out to various rancher groups. They're teaching, they're instructing, and they're having quite good success in persuading other ranchers. We're not getting into whether or not it's a good idea or not, but nevertheless, they feel very passionate about this cause, and other ranchers are coming together even to the extent of signing this document.
That's
the document
correct.
that you're referring to, how important is that document?
It's huge. When we put that information out on the internet last Saturday, when the 8 ranchers in Utah gathered together, just on my little old wall, Jeff, on Facebook, it got over 5,000 shares. And to me, that was like unprecedented. I'm not a big media girl out there. We're just volunteers. And so here we are ending up being the only ones that they trust to help them get their story out.
Wow.
And even Pete Santilli, I must say, our audience needs to be aware that there are agent provocateurs that were up there. I watched this through the night, several nights.
Right.
Watching the videos they were putting up. Pete Santilli, radio host from Cincinnati.
Right.
He's one of the ones arrested. He was agitating. He was angry. He was calling people names in the town. He was not helping that cause.
Wow.
And I have to believe that he is either nuts or he was trying to harm what they were doing.
Well,
in that
and
refuge.
often, Sherilyn, that is a big question for a lot of activists, people looking for a story. He's a media guy, he's a reporter, and he wants something to talk about possibly. Whether he was a plant or a provocateur, he obviously could very well have had his own agenda and it running contrary to the well-being and the good of the cause.
And I did warn Lavoie, and through text and through conversations, to be careful, and I let them know who we were seeing out there causing problems.
Right.
I warned them about Santilli. It's just unfortunate that he was amongst them, but going to that event.
Right.
It gets very confusing, and in a sense, those guys are really in a bubble. And
of course they are. The communication is being cut off. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play a quick little clip here, the very beginning of a conversation that I was able to tape last night with Sean Anderson. He was there with his wife, Sandy. They are 2 of the remaining 4 still within that refuge, and it's quite chilling as they're talking through what is going on right there and their plea for help. Once again, folks, this is AM 630 K-Talk Radio. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy, on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. We are listening to a call-in host, Sherilyn Eager, who is our Tuesday host, along with Tim Irwin. Sherilyn has been up sleepless nights following this, and it's really quite amazing the access that we have had. Listen to this, Sherilyn. Let's see if we can get this to play.
Okay, Jeff, I have Sean Anderson on with you right now.
Hi, Sean.
Hi. I got to tell you up front, I'm very, very tired, so forgive me if I seem slow or lethargic.
Oh, listen, my friend, you're in the middle of a real drama there in your life, I understand, so I just appreciate you taking some time with us. If you could just briefly describe what is your situation there right now, how many of you are there left, and where are you exactly located, if you feel okay about discussing that?
Okay, well, we're at the refuge. There are 4 of us left here, myself, my wife, Jeff Banton, and Dave Fry. I want to let you know these are great, great people. It seems kind of weird that we're the last one standing. None of us have military experience. We're just regular people that believe in freedoms and the Constitution. And I've seen men that lost control of themselves because they were so frightened. And I hold nothing against them for that, because it was very scary. And we've had our moments. I don't know if people saw the live stream where they caught my emotions on there.
Sherilyn, we are going to be going to a break here soon. We have more to play from that interview. It lasted at least 25 minutes. We may not get through all of it, but it's quite amazing and interesting to see where their heads are at, so to speak, and who these people actually are. Stay with us on the other side of the break, folks. This is AM 630 K-Talk Radio. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy, here on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. We are talking about Lavoy Finicum, the tragic death, and the ongoing ordeal that's happening right now up in Burns, Oregon. Yes, we are back. AM 630, K-Talk Radio. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy, here on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show.
But I guess they don't know what they're talking about.
But
From the mountain.
there was panic, fear, anger. We just found out one of our brothers, Lavoy Finicum, was murdered. Supposedly he was on his knees on the road with his arms raised in the air, and they shot him 3 times in the chest. So you know why we were afraid, and everybody said they were coming for us next. So my wife and myself were on a post, and that was the first time we'd ever been on a post there. It wasn't really ever manned. It was just they had a piece of machinery there, and it's straight out from the main road that comes in. A squad leader that sent us out there said, hang tight, he'd bring us some stuff back, some food, some snacks. And I asked if we could get a radio so we could, keep abreast communications. And they do that. Return with some snacks. Still didn't have the radio. Was headed back.
So
was going to bring us the radio.
So
he never showed back up.
Okay. So let me just kind of get this straight. So there were several of you who were at the on the refuge at the same time. Some at the structure. Some of you were called to go out to a post. That's where you were with your wife without a radio. Is that right?
That's correct.
I see. Okay.
And, be advised, there were some children in there. There was a family that goes around. They're from Missouri. They go around singing. and there's like 6 kids in this family and a single mother, I believe. Beautiful people, and they sang for us when we have meals, and man, it was powerful. But they ranged, anywhere from, I think the oldest was 18 down to probably 6.
I see. So they were there to
they
were there to try to lighten the load a little bit and buoy your spirits during this ordeal.
Exactly. And so we took up positions to try to protect children and women and ourselves. We felt we had been peaceful through this whole time, and that's all we wanted to be. And we said we would do that, and we were. And then we'd heard they fired the first shot. So imagine what's going through your mind.
Sherilyn, I think it's important that we get a sense of who these people actually are, especially the remaining 4.
Well, I was just hoping that you would keep playing. This is extraordinary, Jeff.
We are going to continue on. Of course, there's much more to cover. Do you have any comments on this, or would you like to play another segment?
Well, we could certainly keep playing to the next segment, but for our listeners, this is an interview of the people that are still at that refuge from our last reports that we've gotten. And I just want to encourage everyone for updates to go to our website, which is it's libertylineup.com, where you will get this information in great detail. And we'll be posting also on our Facebook page, the Liberty Lineup. So keep going, Jeff. This is extraordinary. Keep going.
This interview was just taped a few hours ago. I've been working very, very closely with some of our contacts, and fortunately able to actually get in and speak with Sean Anderson. We've been trying to actually make contact with him. It hasn't been easy because their lines, their cell service has been jammed, and purposely they've been cut off from communication. I think in part because the federal agents are attempting to stay in contact with them as they negotiate a peaceful settlement to this, that their phones are even active at this point. But we caught them in the wee hours of the morning.
Sorry, is this the woman that's pregnant?
It turns out, as I asked him about that, she is not pregnant.
Oh,
he laughed about it. He says that's the second or third time that he's heard that his wife is pregnant. He said it'd be a miracle. I'm not sure why he thought that would be a miracle.
So we're glad that we cleared that up. All right.
Anyway,
keep
just
going.
for clarification. All right, let's play just a little bit more in just 1 second. I want to bring on a caller, Sherilyn. Welcome to the show, Concerned Citizen.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that video, and
whoop. Okay, he was looking at the video. I'm going to continue to play this, and we'll get Sherilyn back on the line, and we will get our caller, Concerned Citizen, back on the line. Feel free to call back.
The gentleman never came back to our post, so we sat there throughout the night. Eventually, an embedded reporter came in that was making the documentary, and he came in and sat with us for the night. And I think he was our guardian angel. At least I felt that at that time, because we got media here, they definitely won't shoot us yet. And he stayed the whole night in the bitter cold and wet. And we actually got some more of the story from him. We saw the video of the murder. I think that was on CNN that he had the footage of. Well, apparently that night when everybody scattered, the FBI had called certain individuals, and I don't know why or which ones or why they chose those individuals. It was just because they had their numbers or what. And they told them that they needed to leave the refuge immediately, abandon their weapons, and drive out of there. They had a guy that was going to escort them out, and that they wouldn't be arrested. So they had a meeting, called everyone but us and Jeff Banham and several others that didn't know where we were and didn't know where Jeff was, or we're on post and everybody's running around there. And some people wanted to stay and defend, other people wanted to flee. The majority of them left us hanging.
Right.
And I don't mean to put them in a bad light, but they left a brother behind and a sister.
Sherilyn, you're back. You're back.
Yes.
And we want to take this caller. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I lost you by accident there. I got cut off. You know, I'm looking at this video here, and it really doesn't seem like they were attempting to apprehend him at all. It looks like they were, you know, whatever happened to a little patience and sit back, and they confused him by coming out from behind the trees, coming out from, you know, in front of the car. I mean, they could have at least just gave him some directional orders instead of charging him like they did.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they knew he was armed, and they knew the outcome of what was going to happen by doing what they did.
It's very disturbing to watch the video. It is for sure. And equally as disturbing, if not more, is how the media and the spinners are so quick to paint the scenario as to exactly what happened and why.
Because we already know what the media is up against, what they're doing. This media, Donald Trump said it last night with the media. He told the media to shove it up their can.
Well, and those are words that could only come from Donald Trump. And I don't want to say only, because I'm hoping that people, especially on this show, this is a thought police free zone. We like to think of it as a place, a safe place, where we can actually have a free flow of thought and discussion. Let's take the political out of political correctness. Go ahead.
They're just trying to brainwash everybody outright. It's obvious. It's just pathetic to watch this day in and day out. I mean, if you watch television, there's either a government official on one station or the other pandering for money, and then there's a media personnel reporting it. That's all we have for news in this country. Is this pathetic style of managing our whole country.
You're bringing up certainly a relevant point. It's a point that is worth discussing more and more and debating, certainly. Are we getting accurate information? Who are the gatekeepers of information in the media? And is there some kind of ulterior motive? Is there an agenda by media outlets? And we have to start being consciously aware of those possibilities. I don't want to be a conspiratorialist, but I do want to be somebody who connects the dots. And I'm tired of being accused, when I attempt to connect the dots, of being one who is being conspiratorial. I think we need to be bold and courageous and smart about connecting dots in a logical and rational way. What's going on in the world certainly justifies it. Anonymous, thank you for calling in. Please call in again.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. This is the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Jeff Chamberlain.
Lavoie was leading a constitutional renaissance up in Burns, Oregon. Hundreds of people were coming out to learn about the Constitution as taught by Chris Ann Hall, Lavoie, Ammon, and others. They realized the power they have. These Indians were leaving the reservation, which is why he had to be silent. They had to kill him because you can't let Americans know their rights. You can't let Americans know the power they still have if they're going to be conquered. And the FBI did their job and whacked him.
Wow. Our listeners, as we hear these kinds of comments, they're certainly sobering. I don't think we can dismiss them. In our minds, we need to reach out, get as much information as we can, and in a rational way, try to piece together probabilities in our minds that such things are, in fact, happening. I want to thank you for calling in, my friend. Call in again soon. Welcome to the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. This is Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say that I know you don't want to be a conspiracy person, but a lot of people out there think that Agenda 21 is just a conspiracy theory. But it's real. It was ratified by the UN in 1992 in Brazil. Since then, Clinton did a executive order strengthening it. Bush did similar things. Obama has done. It's real, and if people educated themselves on what Agenda 21 is, they would realize what's going on. I mean, it's once you see what the plan is, everything becomes clear. And this whole Ammon Bundy is about they do not want people to have private property. That's part of the agenda. And everyone should educate themselves on Agenda 21, and then you'll see what's going on.
Thank you for calling in. It is certainly a very apt application of the principles we're talking about here, which is our personal liberties, the liberties, constitutional protections of those liberties as it applies across the board in different venues, in different situations. And these ranchers obviously were very concerned about what was going on in their world there, and it appears they had every right to be concerned. There's a debate on what was the very best way to address these issues. I hope we can continue to discuss that and debate it. It is very relevant and ought to be discussed even further. Thank you for calling in. Sherilyn, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are right now with this family. These are good people. They're devastated, and they need your help. There is a PayPal account that's been established. It's on my wall right now. I'm trying to get it on Liberty Lineup, but if you go to Sherilyn Bacon-Eager on Facebook, you'll see it there, online payment, that you can help. The body will be returned to the family soon, and there will be a funeral, and we are the only media that will be allowed to cover that event.
Wow. Well, with that, I know you as well as myself and the rest of our team here on the Liberty Lineup radio show feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to tell the truth and report it as we see it, and to be able to open an honest and truthful discussion about that. This is the Liberty Lineup radio show. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy. We are approaching the very end of this hour. We will continue this discussion on the other side. There's much more to be discussed about what is going on right now up there within the refuge. There's 4 remaining people, a couple, Sean and Sandy Anderson. We were able to connect with them on the inside just a few hours ago. I was able to speak with them directly, and we have some very chilling and very insightful revelations coming up this next hour on the Liberty Lineup radio show. Thank you for joining us, and we will be back with you shortly.
I see the past staring me down. I take a deep breath, feet firm on the ground. My heart's racing fast, beating in time, counting down. I scream at the voice.
It's a Thought Police free zone. The Liberty Lineup radio show, where independent thought just can't be bought.
I'm an American, red, white, and blue, and I'm a citizen of this world and of heaven. Some things were meant to be together. I believe in faith and freedom, got a country too. I believe with faith and freedom, we're gonna make it through.
And welcome back. This is the Liberty Lineup Friday show. I'm Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy, here on K-Talk Radio, AM 630, 801-254-5855, 801-254-5855. We had a tragedy this last week. Two weeks ago, I had a guest on this show, Lavoy Finicum, and his daughter, Tara. Lavoy was shot and killed just a couple of days ago. But the situation is not over with yet, and we are hearing more and more about 4 people who are up at the refuge, even right now. A conversation I had with Sean and Sandy Anderson, husband and wife, who are still inside. You don't want to miss hearing more about this. Coming up right now on the K-Talk Radio, AM 630, 801-254-5855. Love to hear from you. If you've got any insights, comments, ideas on how to make sense out of what's going on right now, love to hear from you. Again, it's 801-254-5855.
He ran into a snowbank, and they were like riddling the car with bullets. And then, when we crashed, they stopped for a second. He got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, and rest. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. They shot him right there because he was just walking with his hands in the air. And I saw it. I swear to God, he was just walking with his hands in the air, and they shot him. And they shot him dead. And then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times. And then they bombarded our vehicle with bullets flying. I hit the shoulder. We were laying there on the floorboard screaming, and they gassed us 5 times, and they kept trying to shoot us, and their angle was bad, so I don't know. We were praying so hard, and we were screaming stop, please stop, please stop. And they were just riddling us with bullets. They kept gassing us over and over, and we couldn't breathe because of the gas. And we were trying to find something white so that we could put a white flag out. And then I was trying to see, because Ryan knew he got hit in the shoulder. So he was like, well, I don't think it's too bad, though. So we were just trying to find a way to get out there. And then they...
Well, it was a taped audio clip that was recorded by Victoria Sharp, who lived through it. She was in the back seat, and this is her account that was given shortly after they got on the other side of this ordeal. That is an account of the very last moments of Lavoy Finicum at the fatal shooting that occurred up near Burns, Oregon, just 2 or 3 days ago. We're talking about not only that, but there still are 4 remaining inside the refuge. We were able to have an opportunity to make contact with Sean and his wife, Sandy Anderson. And we have a very illuminating taped discussion in the wee hours of the morning that we are sharing right now. More coming up on that.
When you listen to her narrative and you watch the video that the FBI released, it absolutely follows in line with what she has just said.
You know, and you bring up certainly, yes, an interesting concept and point here, which is there are a lot of other videos and people who are weighing in on it with absolutely contradictory statements, and you have to ask yourself, why is that? Why is there such diversity? Of course, there's different opinions. People even witnessing the same event and the accident will have a different perspective, but the details are dramatically different. Somebody is not telling the truth. Somebody, and we have to try to figure out who that might be.
Well, I think the FBI's announcement is omitting some key elements here, and I think Victoria's testimony is going to be huge, and I'm grateful that an 18-year-old had the presence of mind to have somebody record it quickly.
Boy, I think you're absolutely right. Boy, it has to be regarded as fresh. It's undoctored. It is seems to be authentic and legitimate and heartfelt, and she obviously didn't have a lot of time to think through what she was saying, and probably recounting this for the very first time Possibly, I don't know, but there seems to be a lot of authenticity there.
So what we're going to hear over the next few weeks is we're going to hear the Newswire, which is saying that he grabbed for his gun twice.
Right.
And that is a false narrative. I believe this. You know, we've got to see the audio before we can be 100% certain of it, and just hope that there isn't corruption going on, that the family hasn't been with the body. It's in custody of the FBI.
Right.
And nobody's been up there with the car. But, you know, there's just thank goodness for social media. And we feel very concerned that at some point the government is going to try and limit our access to even that.
Right. Sherilyn, we have a caller calling in who'd like to comment. Diane, you're on the Liberty Lineup radio show, The Hollywood Guy Guy. What's on your mind?
Well, there's the story of the bulletproof George Washington, and he acknowledged and he wrote a letter that it was a miracle that he wasn't killed on the battlefield. And I think that we can't discount that maybe they had their prayers answered, and it was a miracle that not all of them ended up dead.
With bullets flying, there's no question.
She's saying she doesn't know how, that their angles must have been wrong. No, I think that it was a miracle. I think that their prayers were answered.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
I think that's a wonderful perspective, and it reminds me of something that Lavoie said the entire time, that he would rather die than go to prison. And I think he knew that that was it. That was his moment. By the way, his family went up to visit him about 2 weeks ago, and he did indicate to them that he doubted he was going to see them again. They said their goodbyes. This is a tragic story, but he wrote a book. It's a novel, and it's called Only... the other word is suffering.
That's okay, Sherilyn. You know,
I'm
listen,
sorry.
you're
I'm
not...
very emotional right now. I'm not even thinking clearly. I haven't had any sleep. I'm so sorry. Get on with your show. I don't
Diane, I want to thank you for calling in. It's a great comment and insight. Please call back again.
One more
yes,
comment
go
real
ahead.
fast. They have profilers, and I understand when there was the Randy Weaver incident at Ruby Ridge, they had profiled everybody and come to the conclusion that the wife was a controlling factor. I believe Lavoie was articulate, intelligent, a leader, and they took him out on purpose.
Well, he was certainly finding success as he was meeting with ranchers. They were signing documents. He was certainly gathering the interest of a lot of folks, and that is absolutely evidence of maybe a motive. We'll have to see.
So what we can't do is we can't let his life go to waste. We need to continue on with what he was doing in a peaceful manner. Go ahead and organize, get signatures, conduct meetings, educate people about the Constitution. That's what I hope will come of this.
And you know what? That is, I'm sure, his hope, his family's hope. And this is a cause that he felt was so important that he would lay his life down for it. There's no question he was prepared for that, to seal his testimony of the importance of fighting for these constitutional liberties, sealing it with his blood. And you're absolutely right. The Constitution is under assault, and we need to be vigilant as we get educated and find opportunities to fight and defend those constitutional liberties. None of us need to put ourselves in harm's way like he did. Hopefully, we don't have to do that. I want to thank you for
Thank you so much for
in.
all you guys are doing and for bringing this out in the open.
Thank you, and God bless.
All right, bye-bye.
Welcome to the... Yes. And we just lost a call. I'm sorry about that. We will come back to it. In the meantime, a little bit more. We have breaking news right now, over the last few hours anyway. We have Sean Anderson and his wife, Sandy, who are two of the last four within the refuge up there right now. We were able to get in touch with them in the wee hours of the morning with this taped interview that I'm playing We're going to continue on here just a little bit further.
We had to do it that night. Well, now us not being in the loop, not knowing what's going on, never got that offer.
Right.
So we were hunkering down thinking that everybody was, and we're going to be dead, you know. So the next night, when we got first contact with FBI negotiator, and basically told us that I think we still had 6 of us in our position there at that time. That we had missed the deadline, or I had missed the deadline. Everyone else was free to lay down their weapons, get out to the checkpoint, follow directions, submit to their commands, and be identified, patted down, and held for several hours to, you know, interrogate and find out who they were, and then possibly let go. Well, probably let go.
Right.
In my case, they were going to charge me and arrest me for a federal felony, and I asked them what that was, and I don't remember the particular numbers, but it's basically I was impeding a federal employee from doing their job because of the occupation.
Right.
Now, I wasn't there at the occupation when they first took over.
Right.
I think it had probably been going on a month.
Right.
And my wife and myself had went down 4 different times. This was our 4th time there.
Right.
And we tried to bring food and supplies to support our friends and fellow patriots. I never knew that we had that option to leave. We all sat down and tried to figure out what to do. And
how many of you, at this point, how many of you are still left in the story when you're trying to figure out what to do?
There's only 6 of us there.
Were all 6 of you at that checkpoint?
Yes, eventually we found each other, you know, what's going on, and then we figured, you know what, we're going to be safer in numbers. Let's close up the back door and circle the wagons and protect each other. And it was the same story for those, you know, they didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So through this...
Well, folks, this is the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. We are listening to a taped interview just a few hours ago with Sean Anderson. He's there with his wife, Sandy, within the compound still at this point, within and on the refuge, trying to figure out how best to get out of that very delicate situation, knowing full well that they may be targets themselves. Join us on the other side of this break for more.
Why is your mobile company anti-gun?
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. We never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides
the median or the FBI interrogation. You know, they told us that. And
is this all on the phone?
Negotiation. I'm sorry. Yes.
It's all on the phone.
I'm sorry. It was, yes.
Okay. And when was this? When was this negotiation going on? This one you're speaking of?
I believe it was Wednesday night. I'm not even sure what day it is. I think it was Tuesday night, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Tuesday night. Because Wednesday we were scheduled to leave to go back home, and Tuesday, and I had some bad feelings Tuesday. I felt some of the security and leadership was laxed, and felt like they could move around freely and not be jeopardized, and I didn't believe that to be the case. I just felt that something wasn't right. Well, I think God was talking to me because it turned and there was a bad thing that happened with the boy. So anyway,
we are back. This is the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. I'm Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy, here on K-Talk Radio, AM 630. On your dial, 801-254-5855, 254-5855. We've got lines that are lighting up here and comments that are waiting to be shared. We have been listening to a taped conversation that I had just a few hours ago. We were able to make contact with the two of the remaining four that are within the refuge right now. Husband and wife, Sean and Sandy Anderson, are there and had a conversation with Sean. Very insightful as to his frame of mind and the circumstances that he finds himself in at this moment. We are interested to hear what you have to say about it. This is breaking in many ways. They are very concerned. They are concerned for their life. And we got into a little bit of a discussion as to why they are willing to put themselves in this position. What are they standing for? What is their cause? Very insightful, my friends, as to who these people are. We want to share more of that with you. And before we go further on this, I want to welcome you to the show for a comment, CP in Salt Lake City. Welcome to the Liberty Lineup Radio Show.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, we won't go into it, but I could tell you, I could take up your whole show on what the BLN done to a lot of my ancestors. I'm from Wyoming originally, but we won't go into that. What I've been wondering, in my opinion, the blood of these people and what's happened up there, and the Hammonds even before that, stands on the sheriff and the governor and the mayor of that town. That should have been taken care of actually before the Hammonds ever went to jail in the first place. But in the second place, that sheriff should have never let that happen. He's the advocate between us and the government. And the other thing that I want to ask is why, and I've contributed to this guy a lot, he set up these coalitions, where has Sheriff Mack been in all this deal? He's been totally silent. We haven't heard nothing, and we've spent money, and he's supposed to have these sheriffs set up all over. Where are they at?
Good point. Good question. And let's pose that question to possibly Sherilyn coming up here. I know she's followed that a little bit, and some of our other hosts have also been following
I got one more I'd like to ask you.
Pardon me?
I got one more question
Please
I'd like
do.
to ask. Okay, we've seen how the justice system has already worked in this deal. How do we ever expect, with the justice system we've got in this country now, who's controlled by that's like the fox controlling not controlling, but watching the hen house.
That's right.
How do they figure they're ever going to get justice out of this deal now with our justice system?
We bring up a great point, and I'll tell you that's on the top of the mind of Sean Anderson in my conversation with him just a few hours ago. This is one of the things that's weighing heavy on his mind and determining whether or not he's able to walk out of that compound. He's very concerned that he is not going to see any justice at all, and in part that's one of the reasons why he is still there with his wife. Very, very concerned. A very important issue. I want to thank you for calling in.
One other thing I'd like to say, if I could.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to say I'm a little disappointed in this radio station. For one thing, I like what is going on now, but we've got totally crap on there. But after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and especially from 8 to midnight, I don't know. You guys ought to take up and listen to the garbage that's been going off. We've had people come on there, even after this man was killed, and said they got what they deserved.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate. I'll tell you what you ought to do, and anybody that shares that concern, write a letter to the station. You can send them an email. They'll probably get it faster and sooner.
I know the owner and Tristan personally.
There you go.
I'm going to do something about
There
this.
you go. Well, listen, this is what we do in this country. We raise our voices and express our concerns, and I would encourage everyone to do so. Thank you so much.
You're the only one I've called over this whole ordeal, because I really get mad. When I get mad, I say things I shouldn't.
Well, I'll tell you something. Whether we get real angry or real mad or not is part of a personality thing. But I think there's a lot of reason we need to be very concerned. Stay in control, be thoughtful, be rational, and let's open the dialogue and discussion, and let's deal with the truth of the matter. I want to thank you for joining us. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Call in again.
Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, just a quick comment. The caller asked about Sheriff Mack.
Yes, I know we had him on our show, didn't we? On the Naked Truth segment.
Yes, and he, as everybody, was expressing concern that this was not going to have a good ending for somebody or many. And so they understood the risks, all right? I do believe, I've tried to reach Sheriff Mack, I do believe that there is a lot of discussion behind the scenes, a lot of strategy going forward. It's an indication how many sheriffs out there do not understand their constitutional role. I anticipate that this is going to open the door for more discussion. What these people did up there has changed what happens next. And the caller talked about anger. We must convert anger to action, and that action must be to follow the legacy of Lavoy Finicum. He was the educator of these ranchers. He was highly respected and loved, and he was the one that rallied them and started getting them educated about the history of the abuses. They took out the guy that was their leader.
Well, it's a very scary thing as we consider those possibilities. But one thing for sure, he was a dynamic force. He was successfully able to communicate and educate people about constitutional issues and rights, especially as it relates to the ranchers. I know this for sure from my discussion last night with Sean. I want to play just a little bit more of this. He regards Lavoy certainly as a mentor, and the issues that he discussed with him personally, he embraced. And in part, he is there right now. He and his wife, 2 of the 4 remaining within the refuge, a very dangerous situation. He regards himself certainly in harm's way. And let's hear some more from his mouth.
Struggled of not leaving earlier that day, but I couldn't abandon my brothers and the cause because I'm all in. I believe it. When I was told I had the felony, I said, "Well, I wasn't an occupier; I was a visitor."
Right. So you're having a discussion and kind of a negotiation back and forth on the phone with the FBI agent. They're basically informing you that for whatever reason that you tried to explain, you didn't get the word, you didn't have the option to leave the compound with the rest of them. And were they offering you passage nevertheless, but letting you know that you would be charged, and that was the sticky point at that point?
Yes, that's correct. We took time to discuss it amongst us. No one there wanted to leave. They're like, "Hey, we're here to fight for the Constitution. If we leave now, we have to submit to their laws, and you're going to be charged with felony, which means you're going to have to give up even more rights."
Right.
And so we were all in, and we weren't going to leave, and we discussed it, and they called me several times, and I finally got people to realize that, maybe we can fight another day, and there was a lot of people mad at me, thought I was a coward and wanted to back out, and I just wanted to save lives. And, I didn't feel my life was more valuable than theirs.
Right.
Home would be free if that's what they have offered to you. Well, they wanted to stay with me, and they didn't think it was right. And so I got them to agree, and the terms would have been, and I called the FBI back and said, here's the deal. We're offering you an olive branch here where this will end peacefully. And they're like, "That's wonderful." I said, "But what we want is we all leave together in our own vehicles with our weapons, because we have a Second Amendment right and we haven't used our weapons on anyone or committed any crimes. We drive through unimpeded with any checkpoints because it's not Nazi Germany."
Right.
And we go about our way and we go free and go home. And I said, "Well, you're free to come, but you will have to go through the checkpoint, give up your weapons, and Sean, you will be arrested and held. The rest of them will probably be held for several hours and questioned, and then here we are with 4 members."
This is an ongoing interview that I had on the phone just a few hours ago with Sean Anderson. He is there with his wife, Sandy, 2 of the 4 remaining within the refuge right now. They weren't around. They were at an outpost on assignment to watch what was going on. When the FBI approached those within the structure there and offered them free passage out, many of them given the ability to leave without being arrested. Apparently, there were others that were targeted and arrested, but these folks did not get that message. They didn't get the message, and when they got back to the structure, they found out what had happened. It was too late, and they have unfortunately been in a very difficult situation here, trying to figure out what to do. You can tell from this interview, taped interview, just a few hours ago, that they are still processing through this very, very challenging and difficult situation. You can even hear Sean's wife, Sandy, in the background, kind of commenting and coaching him through this in the wee hours of the morning, in the fog of war. My heart goes out to them. And there's more very fascinating and very troubling things that are said on that interview. We will be sharing that with you coming up real quickly. Sherilyn, we just to comment on that book, Lavoie's book you mentioned is Only by Blood. You can get it on Amazon. We have researchers out there that are diligently supporting us here in this radio show, and one of those supporters is not only a friend and confidant, but my producer Joe, who is with us. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jeff.
Boy, I'll tell you, crazy. What a world we live in.
Sherilyn thinks she hasn't had any sleep.
Nobody has.
I can verify. I've been watching videos and reading articles for at least a week, if not more, and reading them over and over again. So all I do is search for the truth, because it's like you said, in this country, the truth will come out one way or another, and for us to guess what people think and what they feel, and when you have actual interviews and testimonials like you have, that's straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Right.
And next week we're hoping to hear from Stan Summers, who is our county commissioner here in the Box Elder County, who will enlighten us a little bit on the BLM in Utah as well. And
I look forward to that interview, Joe. I want to thank you for digging that out and pursuing this so diligently. We need information. We need real information, and let's bring it to the fore here.
Yeah, I agree. The saddest part of this, Jeff, and I think Sherilyn will agree, when innocent people are involved, like that young lady who was giving her testimonial from the car, you understand people's causes and how they feel about things. But, that young lady gets caught in the crossfire. That could have been my granddaughter or your granddaughter. She was there, I guess, as a performer, as I understand. Isn't that correct? She's a singer.
I believe so. Sherilyn, is she one of the singers that they talked about?
This was the insidious
Victoria.
part of this. Victoria, she was a singer. They were on the way to a town meeting that the mayor had called, and the people were all going to assemble, and Ammon Bundy was to be the speaker. And that was the ambush and the setup. They knew he was never going to get there.
Right.
She was just there to sing a patriotic song.
Right.
Wow.
So, you have those innocent people, and it's like the one lady said, prayers were answered, thank goodness. No one else was harmed or murdered in that particular environment, or shot, if you want to call it that. But that's what happens sometimes when innocent people get involved in these type of situations. And those are the ones, and I'm like Sherilyn, my heart goes out today, which I think we need to be thinking about. Lavoie's family, he has grandchildren, he has 11 children, and there's a human side of this and not just a cause side of this as well that I don't think we should ever forget.
Yes, you're absolutely right, Joe. Sherilyn, we are going to be coming up against a hard break here. I'd love for you both to stick around as we get into the very last segment of this second hour here today on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show, AM 630. This is Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Why Guy, as we are playing a taped interview just a few hours ago with Sean Anderson. He and his wife are still there at the refuge trying to figure out how best to get out of that very difficult situation. They fear for their lives. They know what happened to their good friend and mentor, Lavoy Finicum, and they are scared for their lives at this point, and we're going to get some insights more.
We believe in the American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag because we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights. We're Americans. We make up America. It's amazing America. Oh, yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Why Guy. We are listening to a taped interview that I had just a few hours ago with Sean Anderson. He and his wife, Sandy, are two of the remaining four in the refuge up there in Burns, Oregon. They are trying to process through how best to get this situation resolved. They are committed to principles, but they understand fully that their lives are in danger. They know what happened to Lavoy Finicum. They are very nervous about what's going on up there. We're going to hear more from them right now. I find myself, as I'm talking to them, finding ways where I can, in some way, not just interview them, but give them some kind of guidance to somehow help them figure out, process this very volatile and dangerous situation and get them out alive. This is 801-254-5855, 254-5855. Please feel free to call in. We have several lines lighting up. We will get to your calls, but please make your comments and questions short, to the point, and we've got a lot to cover here.
Certainly at this point in time, you have to be asking yourself, do you want to be debating this right now with these federal agents? And what is the very best way to get out of the current danger and then pick this conversation up at some point in time, in the courts if necessary with the proper legal representation? Is that not a question that's going through your mind right now?
Oh, that's the question they present to me. And they tell you that if the sooner you leave, the better it looks. And hey, you haven't really committed a bad crime. Nobody got hurt. You didn't have illegal weapons. You didn't shoot anybody, so you'll probably get leniency. And
right.
I think the maximum is 6 years for this because I was a visitor there.
Right.
But then it's a felony, and then I lose my right for firearms, my right to vote, jury.
Well, yes, there's a lot of issues relating to it, but that doesn't mean you're convicted of it. And obviously,
no, and that's what they stated too. But from what I'm understanding, the lowest I might possibly get is probation, but it would still be a felony, so I would still lose my rights. And we're all about our rights. That's why we went there.
So there's no question that the federal government has a lot of power, and in this particular case, they are certainly hold the cards. And there's right now 6 of you. Is that right? Is there 6 or 4 of you still left there in the building?
4 of us now.
4 now.
4 of us now.
So the others were able to leave. They left. You don't know whether or not they were actually charged or not. Is that right?
2 of them were that I know of.
Okay, and then so now it really is a question of how best to get through this situation right now, and it must seem rather intimidating to hear that you're going to be charged regardless, and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. But as you try to evaluate the next step, what do you think your next step is? What is your best next step with where you are with you and your wife there?
We've made our peace with God. I mean, I believe God guided us in this venture. And I hope He figures out how to get us out of it. I hope that He instills His faith in other men. If it comes down to where, then they don't submit, so now we have to kill you, all because we were a visitor and missed a deadline that we weren't even aware of.
Right.
That's something those people have to live with the rest of their life. And we know that we died as free Americans, and if you're going to fight for a cause, you take it to the end. You don't pack up and bail out, because then you just submitted once more to what you were actually fighting for. And then if I submit, I lose even more freedoms, which this perfectly proves our point of why we're fighting against tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just throw more tyranny on us.
Right.
I don't believe the FBI wants to murder other Americans, but I also know there's some evil in that. I mean, we can talk about Waco or Ruby Ridge.
Yeah.
And evil men made decisions that killed people.
We're
peaceful people. We have been the whole time.
Right.
We never shot first, and we gave them a way to let us leave, peacefully.
Right.
And they would actually win. They get the refuge back.
Sure.
And everybody's home safe. So.
Right.
We are listening to a taped interview with Sean Anderson. He and his wife, Sandy, are two of the last four remaining up in the refuge up in Burns, Oregon area, and they are trying to process through how best to negotiate with the FBI and figure out how to leave. They are people of principle. They believe in their cause, and from this interview, you can tell that they have, as they said, made peace with their God. And it's very disturbing, folks, to think about the emotional component of this whole drama that's unfolding. I would love to get your comments. 801-254-5855. We have, if you can just make your comment quickly, we've got very short amount of time left, and we want to welcome you, Jackie, to the show.
Thank you. I have a couple of things. This 9mm gun, him having this that the feds keep saying,
right,
keeps coming to my mind. And on the video, it shows 5 minutes after they finally go to Lavoie to check on him, a person walking up with a bag.
Right.
I know that Lavoie carried a revolver on. He was right-handed. He reached to his left. That's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Also, why, if they went to the Fed a couple of days prior to this incident, were they not arrested at that time and let go? That also comes to mind. Question about the family. I read online that a woman did some research, and she's claiming to have found some information that the feds have been trying to get Lavoie's property from them in the same scenario. I don't know if anybody has any more information on that. That would be of interest to everyone. And is anyone helping the family at this time to keep their home, their property, their cattle safe? And I appreciate your having this program.
Thank you.
I'll just listen off air.
Thank you so much for calling in. And call in again, Sherilyn. What are your thoughts?
Yes, we are in touch with the family. We are helping them set up their fund that will help, and we will be at the funeral next week. The family, yes, has been under duress by the federal government for some time, as most ranchers have, and farmers. And this is, for what it's worth, I think it's worth a lot. What they did brought this to the national attention. This is not going to go away, and we want our senators, Senator Mike Lee, he has an Article 1 bill. This is all about bringing back the federal government to its limited role. And this is what this issue is all about. It's about constitutional interpretation, originalism, and we are so far gone from that.
Wow.
And I just want to thank God that there was a man that stood up to it and gave his life. And we have to make his sacrifice not have been in vain. We need to move forward and educate people. We need to help the Finnegans, and yes, we are. We are about to announce some more developments next week.
Okay, thank you very much, Sherilyn. You know, we are getting close to the end of this hour, and we have others that are calling in for sure. We just have a few minutes remaining. Unfortunately, I will not be able to get through this entire interview with him, and I'm going to just play another minute or two. We can take some more calls in just a second. Let's see where we are in this interview.
So.
But, you know, I'm asking for Americans to see this and support us. I mean, you know, here's another opportunity to stand up and make your voice heard, and I'm not calling for violence, but, you know, make some phone calls and say, listen, these are Americans. This is America, not Nazi Germany, and we have the Constitution as supreme law of the land that needs to be followed. And we're trying to come to terms here. I mean, I have open dialogue, and Mark and I have talked quite a few times, and I hope we continue to talk.
All you're asking is safe passage. You'd like to be able to just go home with your guns, and with that, and not be charged, and that would be something that you're hoping they would agree to. Is that right?
That's correct. And, you know, we didn't use our guns unlawfully. I don't know.
Well, you've got a good...
I'm going to stop it there. I apologize for doing so much talking at this point, but as I said before, I felt like I almost had to weigh in and coach, give some advice on this and how best to make sense out of this for them so they can somehow think through the issues. He's very, very concerned for his life, number one. He feels very unjustly being dealt with right now, especially with the felony charges, which he takes very, very seriously. Comments that he made earlier, the idea of going to prison for 5 or 6 years, leaving his wife, family, etc., something that weighs heavily on his mind, and only it makes it exacerbates the situation, the problem for him. I'd like to welcome one last caller here to ask a quick question or comment. Welcome to the show.
Hi, it's just a statement that Michael Savage, I was listening to his show 2 nights ago, or 2 afternoons ago, and he's going to set up a defense fund for the man that was shot and his 11 children.
Very good. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, isn't government not supposed to own private property?
Yeah, we're supposed to. They can have
Just
10
the states
square
are
miles,
supposed
but actually owning 1/3 of the United States geography, I think, is unconstitutional, from what I understand. And I'm not a constitutional expert, but I do know it's a major, major issue. Thank you for calling in.
Bye.
And call in again. This is K-Talk Radio, AM 630. I'm the Hollywood Y guy, Jeff Chamberlain, on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. We have just a few minutes left. And we will be signing off this hour. And thank you for EOS Mobile, who is our sponsor on this. We will do justice further to EOS Mobile another time, but we thank and honor them for sponsoring this show. I would like to also ask Cheryl and Joe, any final comments?
Jeff?
Yes.
If people want to help the Finnegans, there are 2 Facebook pages. Finnegans Stand for Freedom. Excuse me, Finnegans Stand for Freedom. And also on my page, I have the PayPal account that his daughter set up. It's a PayPal, and we're putting it on Liberty Lineup as well on Facebook. And stay updated through our libertylineup.com website. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Sherilyn, for weighing in. Joe, my friend and producer, thank you for all of your due diligence in piecing together information in our quest for truth. Joe, any last comments? You've got 10 seconds. Okay. And Joe, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is K-Talk Radio, AM 630, the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Have a great weekend.